Yesterday we had to end abruptly, but this is round two on basically today we're going to show how to get Spotify streams, how to grow your audience, how to build an audience, how to create what some people call a fan base. I don't like the word fan. I think that's almost derogatory at this point. But how to build a following, how to create the energy that you need to make people focus on your music. And by make, I shouldn't say the word make either. I should say have people suggest that people go listen to your music. You can't force anybody to do anything. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about the basics of traffic. And this is what a lot of people neglect because the way social media is set up currently is to make you think that everything is for free. You think traffic's free. You think having a following is free. You think talking to that following is free. So when they program you this way, it creates a lottery mindset to where we think that if we just soothe the gods of the algorithm, it will bless us with all this traffic. Now, that's partially true, partially false, because traffic does not only come from a discovery engine. And this is the problem I have with Spotify, for example. They say, if you download the app, it says discover new music, discover, all this type of stuff. I'm like, when's the last time you've gone on Spotify and have found tons of artists as if you found them on Instagram or found them on YouTube? It's not the same thing. And so a lot of these platforms use this as marketing, and that's why we're so confused as to how to market on these platforms, because they're marketing the message that the platform will do all the heavy lifting for us. That's not the case. Raj is here, Beefy is here, SM is here, Jonathan's here. What's up? Dude Teach Me is here. He says, Dude Teach Me. All right, so let's get straight into it. This is our mastermind. Again, I want to apologize for yesterday. I had to abruptly get off live. For those who don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorks. Beats.com. We train over 1 million producers around the world. I want to thank you guys because this YouTube plaque is because of y'all. So thank you. Okay, so as you see, we passed the 1 million subscriber mark, helping a lot of folks around the world. And the main difference between my channel and other channels is, yes, I might entertain you here and there, but I'm trying to educate you so that you can apply this knowledge to grow and apply this to build business and, help your family and just grow. I'm obsessed with seeing people grow. So this is what this channel is about. It's not fluff. It's not editing. It's not all this stupid stuff popping up on the screen to distract you and rob you of your dopamine. It's to teach you how to do stuff so that you can apply it and have familial wealth or whatever your goals are, whether that's to gain more social status, to gain mastery of the craft, to gain monetary wealth, or just to gain, more power in society. Whatever your goal is, I'm showing you these techniques that go beyond music production. I show you how to build music businesses. For example, those who don't know me, I've trained over 1 million producers around the world. So I'm going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, YG, Lil Baby, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, on and on and on. So, and then we trained over 1 million online as well. So the stuff I'm showing you works. It just depends on where you're trying to apply this knowledge. Okay, so today we're going to cover how to get more Spotify streams. I don't know why YouTube picked a random thumbnail, so I'm going to have to change the thumbnail later. But basically, this is going to be about Spotify streams. But what people don't understand about Spotify streams is that you have to understand the fundamentals of traffic first. If you don't understand the fundamentals of traffic, you're not going to get these things called streams. That's an illusion created because they want you to feed into this lottery mindset. If you just put one coin in, you'll get 100 coins back of attention. And that's not how it works. That's to sell you on their advertising. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Firstly, yesterday, and I want to thank everybody for being here. Ronald is here. We got I can't pronounce your name. IT Ash. We got Nikasana here. We got DMV. Shout out to everybody who's here. You guys are new. I'm not familiar with you guys, but shout out to y'all. Okay, so firstly, we need to understand how the internet works. Everything works like this, okay? So the way water flows is coming down a mountain, okay? And the reason water even gets to the top of the mountain is because you have an ocean full of water. That ocean heats up and evaporates, and it collects in the clouds, and the clouds rain on the top of the mountains, and the mountains collect that water and flow it down to the bottom of the mountain, and it recycles that pathway. So that's how water flows. So understanding that, you need to understand how attention flows on the internet. Attention starts at the top of the mountain. Who's the top of the mountain? Jake Paul. Who's Kevin Hart, The Rock. Okay, they get the most attention in the world. Taylor Swift, Beyonce. They're at the top of a mountain. And you have to understand and position yourself to receive the downflow of traffic. Okay, so I know I'm getting a little, meta here, but if we don't understand this basic concept, you're always going to be chasing promotions. You're always going to be chasing Spotify ads. You're always going to be chasing spending money with somebody to give you attention. That's not how this works fundamentally on the internet. So let's start at the top of the mountain. Who gets the most attention? That attention flows downhill. This is how, for example, when you're watching the football game, the reason people worship sports is because if your city has a sports team that draws attention to that city, the city benefits. So, for example, let's say the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl's in Kansas City. Guess who's making millions and possibly billions of dollars? Kansas City, because people are going to fly to Kansas City, stay in the hotels. They're going to go to the restaurants. They're going to shop at the bars. They're going to shop at the merchandising. They're going to shop at the malls. They're going to spend a lot of money because all that attention is now on the city. That's why a lot of people are pushing sports. It's not because of the sport. It's because if you can get lucky enough to have your team go to the Super Bowl, your whole city blows up in what we call traffic. Okay, so that's why people worship sports the way they do so much. It's way beyond the actual sport. Okay, so top of the mountain in that case is the NFL. Down at the bottom of the mountain is your local bar, your sports bar, your hotel, whoever. They're collecting the flow of traffic because all these new people are coming into the city to experience that football game or the energy of the city because so much attention is on that city. Okay, so the first thing you need to focus on is positioning. Now, most people, they don't get anywhere close to the water source. They're way off in the desert, over here somewhere. Okay, and they're trying to, it's that mindset of just build it, they will come. Well, if you're building in the middle of a desert, I can tell you nobody's going to the desert willingly. Okay, and this is why a lot of people have their feelings hurt when it comes to online business. They're building way over in the desert and then expecting this river to magically wake its way over to the desert. In order for that to happen, technically, you would have to build what's called an irrigation system to divert that attention and forcibly push it over into the desert. And then you can grow your desert plants. Now, in that case, that's called leveraging or arbitraging attention. That's very highly skilled marketing strategies. Okay, that's stuff that the beginner cannot do. You have to create systems. You have to create desire chains. It goes pretty deep. But for the most part, the easiest way to get traffic and attention is to follow the flow of attention. Who has the most attention right now? How can you get in the pathway of people who are already seeking that desired outcome? The issue that we have in music is that we try to force our outcomes on other people. For example, you want somebody to do something they don't naturally want to do. And so that is forcing somebody's intent. The brain works off of what's called the path of least resistance. In short, electricity wants to just go in a straight line as far as nothing in the way. Now, we could talk about straight lines don't exist and all this type of stuff, but look at a river. The water keeps flowing this way in a snake shape going down the hill because that's called the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance in our brain is how we build, subconscious habit loops, okay, that go on loop. And we keep repeating the same habit because it's the path of least resistance. The moment we have to go off of the path of least resistance, it requires too much brain energy. And that's why a lot of people don't go to your links. They don't join your newsletter. They don't listen to your music. You're making them jump through too many hurdles that don't align with their desired outcome. And so the first step you have to do is understand, what do people want when they're listening to music? What do they want when they're buying your merch? What do they want when they're buying your course? What do they want when they're listening to you? Okay, so you have to understand, what are they trying to get that is not the thing? In short, people want mastery, they want health, they want wealth, they want power, and they want social status. Those are the 5 desires that people actually want. And let me give you some examples. The man who buys a Ferrari, my screen is loading here. It says Miro is being updated. Great. Okay, so let's refresh this screen. So the man who buys a Ferrari is not buying the red Ferrari for its leather. He's not buying it for its horsepower. He's not buying it for the steel. He's buying the red Ferrari because he wants to attract the mate with that Ferrari. The reason he wants to attract the mate is because the Ferrari is what's called a wealth signal. And a wealth signal cannot be faked. Okay. It demonstrates that men, usually men, have excess resources to spend on their potential mate. And why is that important? Because now the woman knows if they mate with that male, he has excess resources. That means he has enough resources to take care of what's called progeny, or kids in that case. And so that's why looking for a wealth signal is important for the female in that case. Whereas the male part of the species is trying to figure out how to show and demonstrate that they have excess resources. That's what social status is for. And his desire is not just wealth, it's actually generation, it's the continuation of his genetics. And the difference is, rich folks and wealthy folks, they define survival way differently. To poor folks who grew up with this mindset, you think survival is just living day to day. That's not the actual definition of survival. Rich folks understand that the true definition of survival is to continue your genetics and live through your genetics. That's survival. It's beyond your actual life. Okay. And what I'm trying to get at is that that's a core desire from the man in this example buying that red Ferrari. He's not buying the Ferrari. He's buying the wealth signal that can attract the mate. Why does he want a mate? Because he wants progeny. Why does he want progeny? Because he wants to continue his genetic material throughout time. So he's actually buying survival of his genetics when he buys a Ferrari. He's not buying the Ferrari. And that's why a Ferrari can charge exorbitant amounts of money, is because that's a wealth signal. And the price is part of the product in that case, because everybody can't get a Ferrari, which demonstrates that, the man has a lot of resources. So that's what people are selling in that case, social status. That's why the guy who owns LVMH, Louis Vuitton and all those companies in luxury, he can just make gazillions of dollars. Okay. So all I'm saying is people have desired outcomes that they are actually chasing. Your thing is not their desired outcome. I will say this 10 more times. Your thing is not their desired outcome. And once you detach from that, your thing is not the desired outcome. People are not buying BusyWorks Beats courses because of the course. They're buying it because they want to go on tour. They want to learn how to build a music business. They want to learn how to make beats for the pros so that by the time they get a placement opportunity, they could show up to those opportunities. They want to learn how to mix their beats. So now when they put them up on YouTube, that's actually loud and clear so people can be heard and actually respect your music. They want to learn how to master their tracks. So now they could take their song that's like this or now make it crystal clear and loud so that they can hear it in the car and it bangs. They're buying way more than the course. They're buying way more than sound packages. They're buying way more than coaching. They're buying a desired outcome. You have to understand what is the desired outcome of your audience. If you don't understand this principle, you will never get traffic. You will never attract people to your business. You will never succeed because you're building it selfishly, trying to force people down some desired outcome that you want. You're not building your business around a desired outcome somebody else wants. CG, I got to ask you when you're free to have you on here, because I would love to hear your perspective, because you deal with more than just online business. You deal with product and physical, and just having a different perspective, I think, would be really helpful for people to understand, even if it's not selling beats specifically, just showing people what is that mindset of, logistics, shipping. How do you even calculate costs, drop shipping? I don't know everything you're into, but physical product is a whole different beast when it comes to e-commerce. So the main goal that we have to have right away is getting in the flow of the traffic source. Who's at the top of the mountain in your specific niche, we call it. And then how can I tie my likeness or my business and get it around that mountain? Because the only way seeds grow is from water source. I need to be close to the attention source. What does that mean? I need to either go directly for the keyword online, I need to go for a long tail keyword online, or I need to go with an associated keyword online. And that will pull me closer to the water source. Now, for example, let me give you some simple ways to think about this. If we talk about keywords that you guys may use, okay, Yeat is the actual keyword that everybody's focused on right now because he just is the new artist. Okay, now Yeat type beat, okay, this is called a long tail keyword or an associated keyword, we'll say. Now, Yeat type beat is not Yeat himself, okay, but we're using this to get closer to Yeat. Okay, and the desired outcomes that audience has. Pardon me. Man, I'm talking too much. I'm starting to get a dry throat. Pause. What's up, Beefy? Thank you. He says, when you have a moment, what is the biggest mental roadblock when trying to find your work in music? Specifically as a producer, investing in my future with your teachings. Thank you. Thank you, Beefy. What are you trying to do? What kind of work? Just describe what kind of work you're trying to track. Okay. My bad, y'all. My throat got dry. Okay, so Yeat is at the top of that mountain. Now, Yeat type beat, this is called keyword research, and I'm going to show you guys how to do keyword research today. You want to look for Google Keyword Planner. This is the first one because Google owns the internet. Let's just be honest. There's a few companies that run the online space. It's Meta, it's Google, it's Apple, and Microsoft. They are running the game when it comes to this new digital world. So in order to get there, we have to focus on their infrastructure. Let's go to discover new keywords. Now, let's say you want to go with the yeet. Okay, so I'm just going to type in the word yeet, nothing else. Let's see what people are actually searching for when it comes to yeet. And this is what I mean by you have to get closer to the traffic source. So right here, it shows me that now this is it says average monthly searches. Now I can tell you way more people search up yeet than 1 million per month. So it says here that there's 100,000 to 1 million searches for the word yeet. Okay, now it says what's next? You have yeet clothes, Twizzy Rich something. What does it say? I can't read the rest of that. Twizzy Rich. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so it's giving us other keywords that we can use to get the attention of somebody who might be looking up yeet. It's not going directly for yeet because yeet has what's called too much competition. Think about, what do you call a highway? Okay, a highway that is toll free, might have 1 million cars there to where there's constantly traffic every single day. It's jammed up. You have traffic jams, and it just takes forever to get through the bridge because there's so many people going through one bridge, one outlet. What happens if you just go an extra mile and take the toll road? You might have to pay for it, but there's less competition. Now you can go 80 on the highway and nobody's in your way. Okay. And my point is, if something has high competition, everybody is going to get in your way. I'll tell you a quick story. I was going to the grocery store and I told my fiance this, shout out to Danny, I went to the grocery store a couple days ago. I forget exactly when. And I was going for the most simple things like, piece of candy, water, and something else. I forgot exactly what I was getting. And so I didn't know. And I went at 6 p.m., which I didn't realize rush hour because I don't live the typical 9 to 5. So I don't know when people are like in true rush hour. I'm just oblivious. So that's the time when everybody's off of work. I made that mistake off the rip. Automatically, it's systematically built to where everybody will flood systems at that specific time because they're getting off of work and now they can do what they actually desired to do. And so the first mistake I made was going when people got off of work. The second mistake I made was going before the Thanksgiving rush. I had no idea Thanksgiving was even coming up. And I didn't realize too that all these people were getting off of work. So those two combined meant everybody was in the grocery store. And that's what, like the typical grocery store visit probably would have taken me a minute or 5 minutes. This took at least a half an hour. It's not that the store got bigger. It's not that I got slower. It's that everybody was in the way blocking me. There was too much competition. It's like having a drain that has a bunch of stuff in the way. Your water's not going to flow through a drain that has a bunch of stuff in the way. So when you're fighting for these keywords and the attention, you have to understand the competition factor as well. Let me take a second to clear my throat real quick, if you don't mind. Let me give you guys the loading screen. Just one sec. All right. Thank you guys for being patient. Goodness. It's tough to talk for 3 hours at a time. Okay. So that's what the first principle you need to understand is how close are you to the faucet? A lot of us are trying to make magic out of rocks. We're trying to turn a rock into a mountain when we should just get closer to the mountain. It's just common sense, but we overlook it every single day. Okay, so let's look up something else. Okay, let's type in yeet type beat. I'll show you other tools that are keyword tools that you guys can use, not just Google Keyword Planner. I even think that they're underestimating the monthly searches for this stuff because yeet type beat if you look on vidIQ, it actually gives you the real traffic and it's like millions of views per month. So this is Google search. Keep in mind, this is not YouTube searched. So we're missing a lot of data when it comes to that. But my point in showing you all this is that there's other keywords people look up outside of just the thing that you're trying to rank for. Type beat, yeet hip hop, yeet Playboy Cardi, yeet Kodak Black. That's the stuff that you need to try to rank for, not the yeet type beat all of the time because you have everybody flooding that. So why is this important keyword research? Is because keywords are the thing that bring you from the top of the mountain, okay, down to your specific plant. And that's how you get closer to the traffic source. My issue that I stated in the beginning of this live stream is that Spotify claims that they're a discovery engine. When is the last time that you discovered a ton of artists on Spotify outside of the people that you already listen to? Like truly, if we did a survey, I don't believe that they're a discovery platform. I think it's a huge marketing illusion, okay? They're using keywords to make it seem a certain way. Because if Spotify was truly a discovery engine, we would be going from Spotify to other platforms. Like you would discover somebody on Spotify and then go to their Instagram, or discover somebody on Spotify and then go to their YouTube. That's not the case. It's YouTube drives people everywhere else. Instagram drives people everywhere else. TikTok drives people everywhere else. So truly, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, those are the traffic generators and discovery engines, because they're built on user preferences and user experience based on tight algorithms that suggest associated content. And that's how people grow, through people's actual desired outcomes. It all goes back to that, instead of just force feeding people stuff. Okay, so I'm getting a little too like esoteric and high level, so we need to bring it back down a notch. It's to talk about this mountain analogy. How close are you to the faucet of traffic? Your Spotify is not going to naturally grow by itself. I'll tell you that now. That's the big illusion that they're creating in your mind. You have to drive traffic to Spotify. How do you get the traffic? You focus on people's desired outcomes. What are people's desired outcomes? Those keywords that get high traffic. You have to make content around those keywords, or talk about those keywords. This is why podcasts are becoming more and more popular. It's because now they can have 50 keywords in a video on a podcast and drive all this attention to the podcast and then send that attention elsewhere. So yes, you're going to have to create content, because content is the way you latch on to keywords, which is the way we use the internet. Every website you go to has a word when you type in the URL. You could type in busyworksbeats.com. You just typed in a word. You could type in FL Studio. That's a keyword. You're searching. You could type in YouTube. That's a business name. You're always typing something on the internet. You're not typing. The only time you're not typing is when you click on an app and you go through their discovery feed. That's the only time you generally might not type when it comes to the internet. And that's why social media is taken off, because you don't have to intently search for something with an intent. So all that being said is, the elephant in the room is that people are overlooking and not creating content. I don't understand why, because this is the only way to get traffic, outside of leveraging somebody else who actually already gets the traffic. And this is the lottery mindset that I've been talking about. Everybody wants, the equivalent of a bank loan, but social media attention loan. They want to just go to, Playboy Cardi and have him feed you all the energy from his audience that he built, or go to, I'm trying to think of all the artists now. I can't even remember all the artists now. A Yeet, you want to get a placement on a Yeet so that Yeet can drive all the energy towards you. That is partially how the music industry works, but that's an internal system that's not meant for outside folks. It's meant for the internal system to multiply itself and compound and compound. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so going back to the analogy here, you have to focus on where does traffic come from? Why do people search these things? And what is their intent? You can have somebody search up. Now, I've seen Curtis King do the DIY thing, trying to get rappers and artists interested in his content. And I'm using Curtis King because he made a dramatic shift. He said he was going to quit YouTube, came back to YouTube. He said he was going to focus on producers, left producers hanging, and now is focused on rappers. It's always this dichotomy and no focus and contradiction. So my point is, he went from having a producer content on his YouTube channel to now talking about rappers and all this type of stuff. But the problem is he's selling products to producers. So this is the mistake that we all make. I've had people build one audience and then make products for a completely different audience. So what's happening is, yes, somebody may be getting numbers on their YouTube videos. Yes, you may be getting more traffic, all these different things. But the problem is, if you're not building a solution or leading people to a desired outcome, they're not going to spend the money. Here's a quick chart that I have to show you guys. There's 4 levels of people who interact with you online. The first is a spectator. The only job of a spectator is to watch your stuff. That is it. It's called reach. Okay, so actually I'll write the goal right next to it. This is called reach. And the goal of reach is just to be seen. That's it. It's kind of like walking down the street and seeing somebody walk up the street. You're just being seen. They're not interacting with you. They're not saying, hey. They're not even focused on what your shirt says. Okay. Now, the next part of, being an online digital marketer is people are skeptical. Okay. So imagine we're walking down the street. I see somebody across the street. I see them. I'm spectating them. The next step is being skeptical. Our mind has a judgment center. Okay. And this judgment center has to be skeptical in order to judge if something's a threat or not. So what we do is we look at external signals, they're called. Okay, so if somebody's walking across the street, they're wearing a black hoodie, masked up with a balaclava, and they're wide shouldered, I'm going to think they're a threat. Okay, because they're built and dressed like a threat. So in that case, we're going to consider that thing a threat. We had to be skeptical to see that person walking up the street, and now we're judging their what they look like using signals to say, is this a threat or not? That's what skepticism is for. So the skeptic's only job is to seek flaw. Okay, now the next type of viewer in this case is our subscriber. Now, if the skeptical does not find flaw in our presentations, our marketing, our content, then they become a subscriber. The only purpose of a subscriber is social currency. There's a guy, his name is Scrap. He basically made this a buzzword, and it was social digital currency. And he highlighted this particular currency here, which is a subscriber's currency. When you make a video and you're asking somebody to like, subscribe, comment, share, that's the responsibility of a subscriber. Everybody who watches your video is not going to do that because they don't owe you that. You haven't earned that yet. Okay, the same with the skeptic. If somebody's seeking flaw in your content, it's not up to them to share to other people because they don't even know if they could trust you and trust that your information is correct. So if they share it to somebody else, they'll look dumb. So they're still in this mindset to where they're not going to exchange social currency with you because they haven't elevated, you haven't proven yourself to get to this ranking here. Now, the next thing is called a supporter. Now, a supporter's job is to actually share their hard-earned dollars with you, okay? So this is when somebody goes in their wallet, pulls out $1 or $50 or $100 and shares it with you. That's the highest form of the person who interacts with your social content. Now, this ultimately, without making this whole schematic here, these folks who give you money in their hard-earned dollars, your job is to take that money and then invest it to attract more spectators. And that's how you grow your business. Okay. So I know I'm going to the fundamentals of online business. Can you guys see my bed? I forgot my camera. It might be blocking. Okay. So here's the thing right here. So there's 4 levels of people who watch you. The spectator, they're just there to watch, or they're just there to see your thumbnail and keep moving. They don't owe you anything. The way you pull these people in, okay, is curiosity. You need to create curiosity. What does that mean? Whenever I say this is the new secret of how to mix your 808s, use the word this instead of exactly what it is. Or Keanu Reeves did what on the set of Matrix? You're always creating a question. It's curiosity. It's the turned head. When a dog looks at you and they don't know what you're saying, they turn their head. Curiosity. You could bend objects on the screen to make people turn their head. So now you're engaging their brain subconsciously and triggering curiosity. So all these things add up to drive traffic. Your goal is not to create the traffic, it's to pull on the desired outcomes. So for example, if you're at the top of the mountain here, your job is to get this water flow to go in your direction or get close to the water flow. People are already searching for FL Studio. They're already searching for Yeet type beats. They just stumbled across my video. They weren't looking for you initially because they don't even know you to search in the search bar. Okay, so if you are that entitled in the beginning of your business to think people are looking for you, that's a reality check that you have to have with yourself, because that is, by stats and data and statistics, that is not the case. They don't even know you to search you. Okay, only until you're known will you become the keyword. And my point is, you have to create curiosity so that it stops the water from flowing down the hill and goes towards your plant, in this case, metaphorically speaking. Okay, so that's called curiosity. The next step is, for the skeptic, we have to prove that our material is right. This is where social proof comes into play. That's why I open up this video talking about how we train 1 million producers around the world. Some are going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, YG, Polo G, Lil Baby, J. Cole, Trippie Redd, et cetera, et cetera. We train 1 million producers around the world. We work with $4 billion brands, Avid, Sweetwater, Razer, and Near Protocol. So that's called social proof. So anybody who comes to my videos from the outside, like a Weaver Beats sending people over here to hate, and then they go through my content and they realize, oh, he actually has the proof behind what he's saying. Everything he's saying is data-based. Everything he's teaching is right on the screen. He said he's going to mix the 808. He just showed me how he mixes the 808. So when people are seeking flaw, they're looking for a reason to consider you a threat. When you prove them wrong that you're not a threat and that you're to be trusted, then they subscribe. And that's how I had a month where we gained 60,000 subscribers in 1 month. I had to earn people's trust. I had to create curiosity with 2 viral shorts. Okay, those viral shorts got people's curious. They said, how do industry music producers steal melodies? Well, I never heard that before. I didn't know that was a thing. Curiosity. My social proof, I introduced, all the things that they see. They see the 1 million subscribers on YouTube or whatever I was at the time, 900 something thousand. They see the comments. These are all forms of social proof. So now they're trying to seek flaw, like, okay. And then they move on once I validify myself, once they check out other pieces of content and they see that, oh, this is a consistent teacher. He's teaching things that actually work. That's when they become a subscriber. Now, from that point, how you convert a subscriber to a supporter is you need to illustrate how your product, your thing that you've created, can lead them to a desired outcome. And this is what everybody neglects. And this is why you're not getting money for what you do. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to lead people to desired outcomes of wealth, health, that's a social status, mastery of a craft, or power. Okay. So understanding all this, adds up to the bigger picture. Let's move a little bit faster here. So traffic on Spotify, and let me draw out a better schematic. I have so many graphs on here. I'm trying to see if there's another useful graph you guys could see. Oh, here's the one I drew the other day. Okay. So truly, give me 1 second, guys. Hold up. Man, oh man. Stay hydrated out there, y'all. It is so quick your voice can get dry. Okay, so here we go. I have to draw a schematic in simple terms because this is the fundamental reason why we're stuck. So Beefy, if you could explain, he said work with singers, songwriters, create music tailored for them. Okay, I'm going to answer your question in a second. Most people, they think Spotify is the top of the mountain, but in reality, as I mentioned before, Google is at the top of this mountain. Apple is at the top of this mountain. Microsoft is at the top of this mountain. Who else did I say? Meta is at the top of this mountain, meaning Facebook, Instagram. Okay, those are the people at the top of the mountain. Spotify is trying to position themselves as if they're at the top of the mountain so that you try to put all your assets closer to the Spotify stream. And this is why you're frustrated when you don't get streams and attention on your music, is because it's the lie from the beginning. If we start with the lie, we can work backwards and create real results and real solutions. Okay, so all I'm saying is, I'll keep this short, is Spotify is down here when it comes to this system, because here's what happens. Somebody has an intent when they're searching on Google. Okay, from that intent, that desired outcome that they're seeking, they go on different platforms. In this case, let's just say Instagram. Okay, now from Instagram, after they've searched, they go down. Actually, let's say YouTube because YouTube is more proper for this example. Let's say they end up on YouTube. Now from YouTube, depending on how you position yourself using SEO and all the data that you give Google and the user experience and how it shows a positive signal that your channel is actually the one to recommend. Because again, Google doesn't want to recommend somebody that they can't trust. If I can't trust your message, I'm not going to recommend you to somebody else. The same thing with these algorithms. If they can't trust that what you're saying is valid, your content's good, they're not going to suggest it to somebody else because it makes them look bad. Okay, so somebody has an intent, they go to YouTube. Now they're searching up Yeet type beat. Okay. Now it leads to you down the chain. This is a whole supply chain. Okay, now it leads to you down the whole supply chain where you go from your YouTube video. And then let's continue the supply chain. Now from that supply chain, it goes from here, from your YouTube video to your website. Okay, now from your website, then you lead people to either have a purchase or stream or whatever it is. In this case, we'll keep it simple and say a purchase. Okay, but even truly, before we get to the purchase, you have the email opt-in. Let's just really draw out the entire food chain for you guys so you understand how much work goes into this. Now from the email opt-in, let me zoom out a little bit. From the email opt-in, then we move into back-end sales processes that convince people that we're trustworthy. Again, you cannot instantly convert a spectator into a supporter who spends money with you unless the pain threshold is that low to where they override all those things in between. Okay. So let's move, what was this here? And then the purchase at the bottom. So to keep this, analogy tight, we're just going to use beat sales right now because most of you guys are trying to sell beats. You're not streaming songs. We'll get into the Spotify analogy in a second. So it all starts with an intent. Somebody hops on the internet. They have an intent. What's their intent? To find the solution to an answer or to find some piece of information. They go on YouTube. They type in Yeet type beat. The YouTube video pops up. That means they're on the YouTube platform. Then you guide them from your YouTube video to your website, assuming that you can keep their attention for that long. Look at how many steps are in between. We have 1 decision, 2 decisions, 3 decisions, 4 decisions getting to your video. They're already decision fatigued. We humans do not like to make a lot of decisions because it eats up a lot of brain power. Okay, so the more decisions we have to make, the more fatigued we become, and the more hurdles we have to go through, we become less and less motivated to keep continuing down that rabbit hole unless we have dopamine that rewards us for going down that rabbit hole. And so all I'm saying is by the time they get to your YouTube video, they're already fatigued. Okay, so the chances of them going to your website become slim, not because you're not a good marketer, not because you suck at making beats. It's because they have decision fatigue. Okay, it's like going into a closet. You're just trying to, get an outfit for an outing, and you have 2,000 clothes in your closet. You're like, this is too many clothes to even sort through to figure out what I want to wear. It's decision fatigue. So what do? You go with the easiest thing that you've been wearing every single day because you don't have to think about it. So now they get to your website, and hopefully you grab them for an opt-in. There's techniques you can use to get people's attention to even get this far, and then you move them down the sales process. Now let's move over to Spotify streams and the real way you get traffic. Okay, so again, it starts with intent. People hop on the internet not because they're just lollygagging. They have an intent of hopping on the internet. Okay, so let's start there. Now let's go down the mobile chain, because mobile, the difference between mobile and your desktop is on the desktop you have you mostly type in the browser. You type, hey, I want to go to youtube.com. I want to go to busyworksbeats.com. I want to go to whatever.com. On your mobile phone, you log in with your password and you click a button. That's the app. Now you're on a website. You didn't have to type anything. And that's the difference between the mobile experience and the desktop. On desktop, you have to type to get to web pages and HTML and different things. On your phone, you just tap. A very different experience, because now we can introduce what's called interruption-based content. It's content you weren't even searching for. Okay, so this is why this is a little bit different when it comes to social media and mobile. So let's focus on the mobile user. They do have an intent because they're going on their phone for an intent, whether that's to get a dopamine spike, whether that's to gain social status, usually is the key, whether that's to close an open loop because somebody was DMing you and now you have to follow up about the DM. That's called an open loop. That's how Instagram has so many people, because they're focusing on the chat. I said, why would Meta buy WhatsApp? And when you think about it, it's because when you control the messaging of a platform, you control people's home base. The main reason TikTok is not as strong as Meta is because people don't go on TikTok to DM each other. Yes, there is a DM function, but they don't put their identity on a TikTok to where they will DM you. The reason Threads sucks is because there's no direct message. Think about it. So the platforms that own the direct message, the communication chain between users, they are the ones that grow the biggest. YouTube is a unicorn in the fact that it got rid of its direct message platform. And it said, we're going to focus on the polarity of direct message, which is the value concept. So YouTube focuses on the value concept, whereas Instagram focuses on the direct messaging, because if they can house your identity on a platform, you will always return to the platform, which means automatic traffic. And your finger will always go there, and the path of least resistance happens. So now you're just programmed to go to Instagram to check your DMs. Okay, and we're going to answer Beefy's question in a second. So once you have the intent, whatever, that intent, like I said, could be an open loop, meaning you need to close a conversation that you have with somebody else or resolve that tension. It's called open loop. The intent could be social status, which mostly it is on Instagram. People just want social status. They're selling that dopamine. Then you have, what else do people, I guess, the intent to actually search. The percentages, I can guarantee that on Instagram and TikTok, people are not searching at the high degrees that they are on a YouTube platform. So now that we understand where traffic starts, we can start reverse engineering how aligned we are with these actual intents. So then we get on the social media platform. Let's just call it social media app. Again, the main difference between mobile and desktop is an app you tap. Okay. And now you're instantly in the mix. There is no, for the most part, searching and doing all this stuff, because you click on a tab, you go to the explore page, and now you're just in the Pandora's box of novelty. So here we have what's called interruption-based content. Okay, which means this is not content that was intended to be seen. And this is the reason Meta stands out from a YouTube, for example. YouTube is working on this as well, but this is why Instagram is so popular and TikTok is because it's built on this, focusing on this part of the supply chain. Okay, so now we have interruption-based content. Then we move into somebody engaging with your content. Okay, let's type this in. We'll type engagement here. Now that engagement requires all those steps I talked about before. There's 4 levels of a social media consumer, the spectator who just is there to see. Sometimes they don't even consciously see your content. They just scroll by your thumbnail. That's called impressions. Somebody just happened to see it subconsciously. Okay. Now, then you have the skeptic, which is looking for flaw. Then you have a subscriber, which is somebody who is going to give you the currency of engaging with your content. So only the people who get to this point are going to engage with your content. Now, from that engagement, you still have to sell them to move to a Spotify. And this is the issue that I have, because if Spotify was a discovery engine, Spotify would be higher in the supply chain, and it's way at the bottom. Okay, you don't go on Spotify to discover people. You send people to Spotify, and it flows downhill like this. And this is why so many people are confused. Okay, now in order to get people from Spotify into streaming your thing, remember you have to have those levers: curiosity, social proof. And you have to ask, how much of this are you actually doing in your business? Adding curiosity, social proof. Okay, leading people to a desired outcome. How do you demonstrate this? Okay, and that's what people aren't focusing on. So that is how the flow of attention works when it comes to this online stuff. And again, most people are confused because they're working backwards. Quite literally, they're trying to go from the bottom of the river to the top of the hill. That's not how water flows. It does not go from the bottom of a mountain to the top of the mountain. You're going against nature in that case, against the natural flow. And that's why you're suffering, because you're going against the laws of the market. You know, the reason people get shocked and electrocuted is because they violated the laws of electricity. They violated the laws of magnetism. And so you suffer that when you go against the laws. And I don't mean that in that you're being judged. I'm saying quite literally, you know, if you jump, you know, I have a little patio. If I walk off the patio, I'm going to fall to the ground, because that's the consequence of me leaving something that's, you know, fortified. And now gravity is going to take its place, because that's a law of physics. Okay. And me trying to break that as if I could fly, you know, without any mechanisms. Okay. What's up, Big Drew? Let me answer Beefy's question real quick. He says, when you have a moment, what is the biggest mental roadblock when trying to find work in music, specifically as a producer? Investing in my future with your teachings. Thank you. Firstly, thank you that you're investing in yourself and trusting me. Again, in order for Beefy to even open up his virtual wallet to share $10 for a super chat, he had to already be a spectator at one point. He had to move and become a skeptic, trying to figure out why Busy Works Beats is not to listen to. Then once I gave him enough social proof and results, he's like, oh, I can trust his word. Then he moves to a subscriber, where he might have subscribed or, you know, to the email list. And then he sees my value that I deliver him over time. And because in the value, I show him that I can guide him to desired outcomes, then he trusts me to give him his money in exchange, because the money is just a medium of transfer. The money is not the end goal. We gain money so that we can exchange it for something else. So by the pure definition of money, people are seeking desired outcomes. The only way money works is secondary reinforcement. I'm trusting to keep this dollar because I know and trust that in 2 years, I can take the same dollar, give it to somebody else for something that I want from them. So money, by definition, is an exchange of desired outcomes. All right. So Beefy says, very true. It took about 5 years to finally invest. Okay. It took 4 years plus for me to convince Beefy that I could lead him to his desired outcomes. All right. So he says he wants to work with singers and songwriters, create music tailored for them. All right. So firstly, you need to position yourself. The first block that we have, I actually have this drawn out. Let me see if I can find it. Here's the first block. There's a book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth. I'll write it in the chat real quick. E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And you don't need to read the entire book to understand this basic concept. There's 3 levels of your business. You have the technician, who's the expert, the person who knows how to do the thing. In this case, the music producer, the artist, the singer, the songwriter, those are the technicians of a business. They're the skilled workers, they're called. Excuse me. Now, the manager of a business, their job is to organize skilled workers. They're not there to actually do the work. They're there to organize and make sure that the workers are getting their work done efficiently through systems and accountability and all these different things. But their main goal is to organize a multitude of people and skilled workers. A manager basically curates talent and makes sure that the talent is working together. The same way when we take a song from the multi-tracks, and we mix the multi-tracks. Think of the manager like a mixing engineer. They take the work that you've already created and produced and all this, and they just make it organized so that it can mix together. That's what managers do. They're basically the business equivalent of a mixing engineer. Now, the entrepreneur is the person who owns the music studio, metaphorically speaking. They don't mix the records. They don't record the records. They don't play the bass on the record. They own the entire system. They own the music studio. So where when people want to create their desired outcomes, they go to the studio. He exchanges that desired outcome for what we call money, okay, a rate per hour. And that's how they get wealthy as an entrepreneur. They never put, not that never, I don't want to say never, but these people usually don't put their hands on the actual product or get themselves involved with management or the actual skilled mastery that it takes. And so if you're trying to attract singers and songwriters, you have to determine where are you at in this schematic? Because the way you're asking the question seems like, and I could be wrong about your intent, but it seems like you want to be a technician of somebody else's system. In other words, the songwriter is managing you. Okay, the songwriter has the opportunity and you want to work for them as an employee. And if you have that mindset, then you're going to take a different route than somebody who creates opportunity for themselves. So let's start with that mindset as you want to go in somebody else's system. Everything makes more sense when you think of it like a pyramid. Okay? And it's not some Illuminati stuff. It just makes more sense when you think of it this way. If the singer-songwriter, let's say, who's an artist you want to work with, Beefy? If you quickly just give me somebody off the top of your head. Because I'm going to map out this schematic here for you so you understand this a little bit more. Anybody in the chat, you could let me know which artist you want to work with. And I could tell you if they're an employee or a boss. Chat got quiet on me. How many people are here? Let's see. We got 60 people here. Can y'all smash the like button? If I gave you enough value and I showed you that I know what I'm talking about, and if I gave you enough social proof and I gave you enough value, and now you're a subscriber, could you give me some social digital currency and smash that like button? That's all I ask. I don't ask you to buy anything. I don't ask you to, this is my way of giving back to y'all, showing you the behind the scenes, because we have a new mastermind group at busyworksbeats.com/mastermind, and we have group coaching. And so what I promised you guys is that I'll go live so that you can see the group coaching and you can still learn, but it's not going to specifically answer your question. Okay. We're going to only answer the questions of the people in the group coaching. So you may still learn something, but it's not going to be tailored to you. And that's what the difference is. And also you get access to a vault worth over $4,000 of all my trainings from other industries, fitness, fashion, film, music production. And it's all of my business coaching stuff, basically, in a vault. I call it the Mastermind Vault. And that's how you can really learn and sharpen your business skill, copywriting, how to produce a show. There's so much in there. It goes way beyond making a YouTube video. I show you how to build Discord. I think Beefy might, oh, here he is. He says Logic and Joyner Lucas. Okay. So let me Google something. Logic record label. Now, some artists do act as their own entrepreneur, but Logic, it says here that Logic is signed to Def Jam. So at the top of this pyramid, it's Def Jam. They own the likeness. They own the branding of Logic in this case. Okay, so there's certain decisions that Logic can't make no matter what. And that's not saying he can't make his own decisions. I don't know his particular data points and his deals and different things. Now, in Def Jam, you have the executive branch. Okay, so as you can already see, as far as power goes and making decisions, you already have to go through two gatekeepers in this entire system before you get to Logic. And this is the part that people don't understand. They want to get to the person down here. The person down here cannot always say yes. Can the child dictate how the father spends money? No, you have to go through the father first. Okay, so if the son is trying to tell the father what to do, it's going to be chaos. So the same thing in this system. In this system, he is not the decision maker at the highest level because he's owned by somebody else. Now, they may give them creative decisions over what beat they want or what creative artwork they want to make them feel like they have some autonomy, but truly they can reject that and veto that and completely disregard it. So in this case, this person does not have full authority. So in short, you would have to go to the executives. So usually people get around the artist by going directly to their manager or their law firm I'll just call it management company, which sometimes management companies are lawyers. Okay. Lawyers are the ones that create deal flow in this industry. And people overlook lawyers. They think lawyers are just there for contracts. No, lawyers are there to link up a Jack Harlow with I'm just going to say Drake, or link up, a Lil Baby with, I can't think of all these rappers nowadays, Lil Baby with whoever, right? A join the link. I don't know who Lil Baby rocks with. Okay. So yes, the artist does have some say, but in the bigger schematic of this equation, they are not the ones with the say. So if you're going in this system looking to be the next rung down in the pyramid, when you have no authority and you can't go above somebody, then you have to succumb to what logic wants in this case. And in this case, what does logic actually need? Think of it like a body. It just makes a lot more sense, right? When your body is broken down, you could feel when you're missing a vitamin. So how are you going to be the vitamin for somebody's body, their corporation, we call it? How will you be the vitamin for somebody's corporation? If you're coming into this this corporation saying that you got vitamin C, you're vitamin C. I have vitamin C type beats. This is the vitamin C you need. My type beats. You trust me. Take this vitamin C. You'll have a hit. That's what everybody keeps pitching their music. But the problem is, Logic is full of vitamin C. In fact, he's overeating vitamin C. He has enough, and I'm saying metaphorically, not literally. His metaphorical body, his metaphorical business in this case, already has that vitamin. It's not in need of, it's not lacking vitamin C. And so most of us are forcing the thing that we produce onto somebody else, but that's not their desired outcome. His desired outcome might be vitamin E. Now, vitamin E is fat soluble, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. Vitamin E, fat soluble. I'm pretty sure it's fat soluble, meaning that it dissolves in fat. Okay. Whereas vitamin C dissolves in water. Two different mediums. Okay. And metaphorically saying that most people try to come in with the beats approach. What if you came in with the network approach or deal flow approach, to where you come with a brand deal in hand or something that's a little bit different of value? This is how you create flow. When you can't control the chain up above, you have to figure out, what does this chain need? And that's a tough thing to teach you how to do, because how do you figure out what people need? You have to reverse engineer their desired outcomes, for one. You have to analyze what they already have, for two. And then they have to like you and trust you. That's a lot of things you have to do to get under this artist umbrella. Let me map that out again. You have to find his intent. That's the first step. You have to find out, you have to analyze what he actually is missing. Analysis. Okay, some people call it due diligence. And then you also have to go in, he has to like and trust you. That's a lot of steps required to get work. That's a lot of steps. And on top of this, you might be producing vitamin C for this artist, metaphorically speaking, but the next artist might want vitamin D, and the next artist might vitamin A. So now you have to constantly customize your approach to every single artist. And this is why that approach is not good. When you come in at the bottom of a pyramid, you don't have power. You don't have authority. When you come in working with these guys, the people who are the executives, the business, the deal flow people, then you have a lot more leverage, because now you're working with them and they control multiple artists. They control different outcomes. They have favors that they owe other people. It's a bigger game than just, can I sell my beats to Logic and Joyner Lucas? So if you're trying to go against the law of how the business is structured, that's why you're frustrated. That's how these opportunities flow down the hill. Let's make this a little bit more simple. Okay, if you're going into the music industry system, this is how opportunity is created. You have three companies at the top. You have Sony, you have Warner, and you have Universal. They're at the top of a pyramid. Okay, so you have Sony, you have Warner, you have Universal. These are the guys who control the entire pyramid in the music industry. So under them, you'll have a Def Jam, you'll have an Interscope, you'll have, Death Row, whoever, right? You'll have Def Jam, Interscope. I don't know all the subsidiary companies under these guys. You'll have a Republic, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this massive holding company owns assets, other corporations, and those corporations own different artists and producers down here. Okay, on top of the executive branch that they also have in between. So we can add another layer here, call this, managers or executives. All right. So again, if you're trying to go against nature's structure, the kingdom of God, so to speak. What is the kingdom of God? The kingdom of heaven is a hierarchy. That's what it is. So when you're learning about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, and the kingdom of God will reach earth and all this type of stuff in Christianity, it's a hierarchy system. It's how do all these people align with the intent of the creator? The creator's at the top, God in this case. Then you have in the Christian story, Jesus underneath God, right? And then it goes, Jesus's, disciples. Then it goes angels. I don't know the whole hierarchy, but the point is it's a structure. That's the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven is a structure. It's the laws of the universe. When you go against these laws, you will reap death in this case, and not physical death, but death, wave cancellation. Okay? Because you're going against the positive values with the negative value, which cancels out when you go against the intent of something. Okay? So all I'm saying is the only power that you have is to galvanize the lowest rung of a pyramid. So if you cannot galvanize the lowest rung of a pyramid, you cannot ascend to the next level. Okay, so I know your answer is not what you wanted, but this is the reality. So if you truly want to get an artist's attention, either figure out what their intent is, find out what their needs are, analyze their needs, and they have to like you and trust you through somebody that they already know. Maybe get closer with the person that they already know so that it rubs off on the trust they have for you. Going directly to an artist requires a lot, specifically when the record labels are providing them with the stuff that they actually need. They don't need beats from you all the time because they can go to the publishing company who has 100 producers on lineup for them to go to who have proven success. Whereas with you, they're taking a risk. Okay. So in their time, these guys are on tour. They don't have time to wait for you to figure it out and do good business. So let's just go back a little bit. Artists have to have the intent. You have to analyze what they actually need, and they have to like and trust you. In order to get to a higher rung in this pyramid, the music industry pyramid, you have to galvanize a people under you. This is where you see artists sign other artists, producers create collectives, ear drummers, you name it. I can't think of all the cliques in music, good music. What they're trying to do is create another rung to the pyramid, because if you create another rung to the pyramid, you are now above something. And that's how the music industry works. It works by somebody creating another rung to the pyramid so that by default, they're above somebody else. Okay, so that's how this whole system works. And the only way to ascend this system is to galvanize somebody under you, or you have to specifically target the needs, like I said for a couple times here, the intent, the needs of an artist that aren't served by the higher rung of this pyramid. So the Logic and the Joiners of your example, if they're not getting something from the record label, how can he get it from you? And again, you have to line up with his desired outcomes. I don't know exactly Logic's desired outcomes. Who knows? But the easiest way to infiltrate the artist thing is they don't know who to trust, because the music industry deals with a lot of people who are janky, specifically people who don't love music. It's usually the promoters and the people who are, at the nightclubs and all this type of stuff, because they just want money. They don't care about the artist. And so those are the people who screw up the music industry. And because of that, you have a lot of people who distrust other people because they're done so dirty on the road. Imagine going to Las Vegas. You think you're just pulling up to do a show. The promoter is on the street handing out tickets to everybody, and the profit's super low. You get to the venue. Now you have to deal with 10 Crips on the outside threatening you if you don't pay your draft. Now they're going to mess up the show. And now you're basically in the negative because all your money's going elsewhere for security, because the promoter lost all the money. There's a lot of issues that can happen when you're on the road, and especially in spaces that you don't control. Okay, so I'm using this analogy to show you why artists can't necessarily trust everybody. Okay, so if I'm on the road, I'm a Logic. I haven't pulled up to Las Vegas. I don't know anybody there. It's sketchy. It's not the greatest venue in the world with low security, and I don't have anybody on the road, on the street level, boots on the ground, they call it. Then I have to go to people who are trusted in that matter, and go with people who have trusted solutions. So all I'm saying is, without giving you guys a whole book worth of information, you need to make it easy for people to trust you. How do you do that? Through people that they already trust. Don't try to forge trust from scratch. It's a waste of time. Go with people who they already trust, build a relationship with them, and you will, through osmosis, they will give you trust just because they trust the person and their judgment. Okay. So that's how you would get to a Logic or a Joyner, in this case, Joyner Lucas. Now, I don't know if Joyner is signed. Let me check. Joyner Lucas record label. Let's check. Okay, it says he's under Atlantic. So again, if these people are in the system of somebody else's ecosystem, they don't control certain things. I just want to be very clear about that. They give these artists creative controls only because they want the artist to feel like they have some say in the work. But most of the time, when these record labels are putting up hundreds of thousands of dollars and they know that A&Rs skim off the top. Here's what happens in the music industry, for example. Let's say Def Jam gave, who was the artist? Logic. I don't want to put this on anybody's name because I don't want to incriminate folks. Let's just say Def Jam gave the artist a budget of $100K. Okay. So they gave that artist $100K to spend on their album production because albums do cost money. That's why I don't make a lot of beats and music, because it just takes too much money to record and mix it. It just takes too much money. And it's just to prove to who, like to prove what to who. Okay, so let's say Def Jam gives this artist $100,000. This artist is supposed to put this $100,000 into production. Okay, now what happens is they go with people who are considered the ears of the industry, the A&Rs, to scout out talent. Why did they go to A&Rs? It's because A&Rs make the decision-making process easier. I mentioned this earlier. If I have 1,000 people in front of me and I have to choose for some simple thing like who is the best beat, that's decision fatigue. For people who have never experienced this before, I used to have an email where I said, send me loops, send me beats. The beat email got flooded so fast that one, Google shut it down temporarily because there was too many emails coming in. But for two, it was literally impossible for me to go through all those beats. And when I did try to go through all the beats, it was boring after a while. I'm like, this is so monotonous and boring. And so you have to have somebody who can galvanize, going back to what I just said before, somebody who can galvanize people under them in this pyramid. So what does an A&R do? They galvanize, they group together artists and producers. They're kind of like a product manager. Think of it that way. If I'm going to somebody to develop a plugin, I want to go to somebody who develops tons of products, from that plugin to this plugin to a mixing plugin to a synth plugin, because I can go to one person and they can organize all the tech people and the coders and the graphic design and people, whoever they need to make the product. And then they sell me the product. That's what I'm going to them for. So the same with A&Rs. Artists tend to go to these guys because they're product managers in a sense, okay? They can deliver the creatives because creatives are so sloppy. It's very hard to organize creatives and get a consistent product. So that's why people go to A&Rs. So I know I'm going on this whole diatribe here, but the label will give this artist $100K. Now, the artist could go to the A&R and give them, I don't know, $20K to organize people. Now, the problem is the A&R will find somebody offline or somebody who's gullible, or find just people who are will sell their beat for $200 flat out and not even want back end, right? So let's say they spent a total of $2,000 buying beats online. Let's just say, okay, metaphorically speaking. What they'll do is they will pocket the rest of the $18,000. Okay, this is called skimming. And I don't want to accuse anybody of skimming, but this happens way more than you think. The A&Rs are taking crazy money off the top. Or the artist might even, get involved with these too. Because again, when you get a loan from a company, you're technically supposed to take that loan and spend it on what you said you were going to spend it on, which is production. Whereas most of these people are taking the money and paying the least of the least for production and then pocketing the rest, okay? And to do whatever they're doing, okay? I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but that's what happens in the traditional music industry. And so I'm using this analogy to show you that where do you exist in this supply chain? Okay, where do you exist? If you're the one being hired for somebody else, you're always going to be a secondary reaction to what somebody else's intent was. It's called a beta. I don't mean beta male. I'm talking about, it means the secondary of something. Alpha means the progenitor. Beta or Ben means the son of. It's the reaction. It's the causation, then reaction. Cause, effect. So you're always going to be the effect in this case, and you're never going to have control over the cause. So what I highly recommend people to do is, like I said, to get to the top, to get to a higher rung in this pyramid, you have to galvanize people below you. So if you want the best odds, this is why all the top producers, including Major 7, shout out to Major 7, he invited me to a Telegram group. I don't know if it would be against his rules to show the Telegram group. Let me double check to make sure there's nothing crazy in this Telegram group, or sensitive information. Actually, I don't want to betray his trust because I didn't ask him beforehand. But there's a Telegram group out that Major Seven controls, and he even has a website too. Slip me the website, 7packs, or I think it's called 7packs. Might be wrong. 7packs. No, that's not it. I'll get the website a different day. But basically, he has a group of Telegram creatives. He's galvanized because of his accomplishments. He's attracted bass players, singers, instrumentalists, piano player, whoever. And now when he gets opportunities from the top of his food chain, so let's draw out the Major Seven food chain, him being a producer. Okay, so it's whoever he's tight to, let's just say Sony in this case. I don't know who he's affiliated with. Let's say it's Major Seven here. And then under Major Seven, again, everything is pyramids. It's structure, okay? Underneath Major Seven, then you have the creatives, the instrumentalists, the singers, the whoever, right? So now when the deal flow comes from Major Seven, he goes, let's just say it's from Sony. Then let's say they're working with, Cardi B. I think she's Atlantic. I don't remember everybody's label, okay? Let's just say they're getting an opportunity from Coi Leray or Cardi B or whatever the opportunity is. It comes down from a place. These producers and artists are not creating deal flow. Lawyers create deal flow. Publishing companies create deal flow, aka opportunities, because they're producing the films, they're producing the live events, they're producing the festivals. So they control the actual opportunity. Okay. So Cardi B, Coi Leray, who else? There's another opportunity in there. I'm forgetting. What's that girl's name? Brooke or something Brooke. I forget the rapper. Brooke something from New York. I forget. Lola Brooke. Okay. So these opportunities come down from Sony. Now, Major Seven is the point man. He's the, I'll say, quote unquote, A&R. He's the curator of these opportunities. Sony doesn't have the time to go out, find every single violin player, find every single bass player, find every single drummer. They don't have time to do that. It's too much work. So they go to their trusted point men, aka curators. We'll call him an A&R because he does way more than just produce. And he has galvanized creatives in what's called his collective. Okay. So if you want control over your outcome, you need to create a group of creatives so that when opportunity flows your way, you can leverage everybody's skill to then pitch your product, I should say, back up to the chain of supply. If you're not tied to a supply chain, that's the first issue. Okay. So if you're not tied to a supply chain for opportunity, that's the issue when it comes to controlling your own destiny. Now, if you want to go the lottery mentality, which the majority of producers want to, you're at the bottom of the pyramid. You have zero control. It's luck-based for the most part. And you're not going to have the most leverage because, again, these guys are trying to pocket the most money. So they're not trying to pay you that much for your production if you're not established and have everything else. That's how the system truly works. And that's why a lot of people are confused about how the system works. And they're like, how do I work with an artist? That's a simple question. But in reality, the system is way more complex than that simple question. Okay, so hopefully I gave you a little more insight. Not trying to discourage you. Just want you to understand there's a hierarchy to this stuff. And if you disobey that hierarchy, you're not going to get your outcome. I saw you write a couple comments. I just want to make sure. Technician, the songwriter brings the idea and I bring it to life. Oh, you want to be the technician. Okay, in that case, you're not going to have much control over your outcome because you have to elevate to a manager or an entrepreneur level if you want to control opportunity. So when people ask me, how do I work with so-and-so? You can't force other people to do anything. The only thing you can control is the opportunities you create. And so that's why I don't give people these cookie cutter, just have a good heart, network, all that bull crap you hear about, which it might be true. Yeah, have a good heart, be a good human and all this type of stuff. But if you don't have leverage in business, nobody has the need to do business with you. If you don't have leverage, a reason why they should interact with you. Okay. 2 Chainz, rappers who can spit. NF. Oh, those are the rappers you wanted to work with. Alicia Cara, Nicki Minaj. Yeah, you're talking about big time artists. In order to get into that food chain again, you have to elevate your status in this food chain. How do you do that? You have to be under somebody's umbrella. Okay, you're going to have to give up your own autonomy to work under these systems. And now they control you. You're an avatar. You're a vessel. Now they control you and Yes, you may work with a Nicki Minaj or whoever, but you're controlled by a greater source, meaning you don't control your outcomes. And that's up to everybody to decide which way they want to go. So to crack into the music industry, maybe that's a better question. How do you crack into the music industry? You need to work with people who are already trusted, who's already got the deal flow, who's already got the work. And don't aim so high. I'm not telling you how to make your goals. I'm just saying you don't have leverage to aim high. Okay, because the system works off of favors, it works off of ownership. It gets so complex and detailed. You need to go to the point men. Who are the point men? Major Seven, Boy Wonder. Those are point men. Okay, you need to find the point men of the industry, get around them, and then under that umbrella, then you get into the industry. You know, that's how it works. I don't want to keep beating down a dead horse. I have a friend who manages an artist, so tailor my work to what the manager wants for this artist. I don't know if that artist is signed or how close they are to the music industry that you're trying to get into. But to answer your question directly, he says, whatever Logic believes his customer base wants. That's not really true in business. People operate off of self-intent. Everybody. And yes, it sounds good, you know, if you deliver something that their audience might want. But if I don't like you, trust you, or it brings me closer to my desired outcomes, I don't have to give it to my audience. There's a billion plugins that I'm sure will be great for my audience. I get offered NFRs a lot, and I reject them because they don't respect my content, my influence, and the sales that I'm going to create for the company. And if they can't give us a person commission based off of results they created, I'm not working with them. So that's my self-intent. What do I get out of this equation? Yes, the plugin may be cool for my audience of producers around the world. It may help them, but it doesn't help me. So I'm not going to give them an opportunity in that case to work with our channel. So the same thing in the music industry. You have to figure out how to serve somebody's self-intent. Yes, we all make it look like butterflies and that it's about the audience all the time. It's not truly the case. To answer your second question, I have a friend who manages an artist, so tailor my work to what the manager wants for his artist. Again, I don't know what kind of power or position that artist has, but in that specific use case, if you wanted that $2,000 or whatever the artist is going to pay you, $2,000 is more for a project. But if they were going to pay you like $500 or $200, whatever it is for that project or for that beat, I should say. Yes. To answer your question, yes, because the manager controls, it sounds like, I'll say, the manager controls the artist guidance, because a lot of artists, they get managers because they need structure. They need a father figure. They need somebody who understands how to be organized. They can't be organized. So even there's so much to say, but even though the artist is the technician, where's that chart that I drew? Even though the artist is the technician in that case and the manager is organizing them, some people truly believe that they're the entrepreneur hiring a manager. Okay, meaning that the manager is their employee. So I don't know how that artist perceives their manager. But I could assume by the way you asked the question is that their manager controls them. And they do what the manager says because the manager is running the business as an entrepreneur. And the artist is just the paintbrush. So I would tailor it to what the manager wants. That's how you get deals done. It really has nothing to do with the music. As long as the music is good enough and the artist says yes to it, fine. But the music industry does not work off of music. And I think that's why so many people get confused. It works off of leverage and favors. Okay. It's not music. Music is just the medium of exchange. It's like a dollar. It's like, that's the thing we trade with each other. Okay. All right. So I don't want to, go down a rabbit hole with your question. I think being an effect is what I want. Someone else leads. I'm just a cosign or cog in the machine. That works. But again, when people have, I'll just put it this way. Your question is structured to where you're trying to force an outcome on somebody. And if that person didn't have that intent, you're not going to get what you want. So it doesn't matter what I show you. If they don't have that intent, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay. So that's what I was trying to get at with this whole pyramid thing, is that's the worst position you want to be in when it comes to being a producer in the industry, is somebody who's down the supply chain. Because then everything's luck. Everything has to be handed to you. You have to beg for the water to come down to your plant. But that's a decision that everybody makes every day. Yeah, I would, in your case, I would have maybe 3 genres that you focus on. and just keep a bucket of stuff on a Dropbox so that you don't have to customize it to each person every single time. You could just say, here's my pop beats, here are my whatever beats, here are my whatever beats. And then when people claim them or when they pay you for them, then you give them the multi-tracks, then you give them the actual files. Okay, so that's what I would do instead of customizing everything for everybody, because in that case, you're going to spend a lot of time for a low reward and you're going to be working backwards. I know that was a lot, so I don't know how many people we still have here. Hopefully that didn't like scare people off, but that's how the music industry truly works. So ultimately, my goal with this live stream is to show you how to get more traffic for your Spotify and what is streaming, how to get up streams. I want you guys to rewind this and listen to this many times over. You have to understand the supply chain, the structure of the internet, the structure of attention as we see it currently. Spotify is down the chain. So if you want Spotify streams, you got to focus on up the chain stuff, okay, that I talked about before. My voice is getting a little rattled. It's been an hour. Wishing you guys well. And join us at busyworksbeats.com/mastermind. That's where we have group coaching /mastermind. Okay. And also a vault of over, if I had to put a value on it, probably over $20,000 worth of advice and coaching that I've given to different people from film. Let me actually go to the webpage to see. Hold up. Let's do busyworksbeats.com/ let me switch screens. Give me a second, y'all. Let me log in. Got to log in real quick. But yeah, I think the frustration with folks just comes from they're trying to go against the laws of the market. And the laws of the market are based on a structure. What is the structure? The structure is a hierarchy. What's a hierarchy? Think of it like a pyramid. And when people are trying to go up the pyramid forcibly, that's when they get beat down because you're going against the flow of what's called the law of averages. And so you're always going to get frustration doing that. So that's why a lot of companies get billions of dollars, because they disrupt the flow, the supply chain of attention. Okay. And they take the water basically from a higher point in the chain, or they divert the attention. And that's why I said that requires a different skill set. Okay, I'm getting a little esoteric. I don't want to talk over your head so much. Let me go to the actual page here. Give me 2 seconds to see the web page. So I'm just going to give you a quick, the price is going up tonight. I'm going to raise the price $100 as promised. I told you guys that every week this is going up $100. Okay, because we're trying to keep people out of the program. We're not trying to have 1,000 people in the program. Okay, so it's called the Music Producer Mastermind. Build your dream music business in light speed. So if you scroll down to the bottom, here's the stuff that is actually in the vault. It's 46 hours of my coaching to all of the different types of folks. And there's so much in here that, again, the value is way over 20,000. This information could build a $2 million business. So the price tag that I could put on it could be really high, but you guys cannot afford $2 million. So let's just be honest. So here's the JV Partners video. I show you how to get JV partners. What else? 3 steps to mastering online business. Wait, let me make sure my screen's showing. Hold up. Okay, yeah. Grow your brand, record label signing, finding music talent, music business, business plan and marketing, scaling high ticket clients, launching products, get paid on time, how to price and time management, how to create an education business, expanding music monetization through TV series and publishing, creative agency explain, music business admin, live shows, film placements, monetizing music online. We did a consult for Software Audio about the customer journey. It's called growing a fitness business, music monetization in the modern music business, Facebook ad strategy and Google ad strategy, social media and business plan and marketing strategies. Consider this music production business school, basically, outside of teaching you how to put all your likeness into the streaming system. That's the only thing I don't cover. That's why I'm making a new course specifically for Spotify and streaming, because the way I teach is how to have your own power. Whereas what most people want me to teach is how to be, like Beefy said, a cog in the machine. And it's hard for me to think like that because to me, that's the highest risk. It's not. So anyhow, social media and business plan and marketing strategies, branding, product awareness, customer LTV, growing your service business geometrically, using ClickFunnels to build an online business, webinar funnel, education, business flow. This is just the first section. That alone could build $100,000 business off of that information. I'm going to kind of go through all these points. Social media secrets, how to create infinite content machine, traffic machines, traffic expert. This is what I covered today, traffic. YouTube, not in this amount of detail, but this is what I partially covered today. YouTube setups, YouTube video title secrets, Streamlabs, how to set that up, how to grow your Discord. Now the Discord's at 70,000. So this was back when it was at 45,000. So it's grown to 70,000 now. It's almost doubled. Discord training, TikTok. So there's so much in here. Sales training, 10x your sales. Like there's so much in here. It's ridiculous. There's even more. If you click show more, it goes all the way down. Show you how to build a business, grow a business, build the systems for the business. You see how this business stuff works in other industries outside of music. So this is why this program was priced initially at $3,997, because that's the lowest price I could probably price it to where people can afford it. If I went into my real prices, I would price everybody out and I would only work with brands in consultation, which I still do, okay, and help them out to grow their companies. So I priced it at 97 so that you guys can at least get this information. I like to help people. I like to contribute, and I want people to at least have a chance to get into this vault. But with this vault, I thought what was cool was group coaching, and that's why we're doing this live, is because in this group coaching, I get to target your questions specifically. It sharpens me, it helps the audience at home, and it helps me build products that actually serve your needs. So think of it like you're helping me build a product, but at the same time, you get freaking millions of dollars worth of game, as Gilly would say. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. That's at busyworksbeats.com/mastermind. So that's the businessy stuff, if you need to be trained on the businessy stuff. Outside of Spotify and streaming, I'm making a new course for that. Okay. So without wasting more time,